I hate to be the blame game in here because I've been seeing podcasts, I've been seeing ESPN talk about this way too much. FSG extremely fucked this up, and this is now the third straight time. I have to really blame this more on ownership, honestly, than Rafi. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 73 of Hitting for the Cycle. I'm your host, Ben Kruse, as always, alongside my co-host, Ryan. Ryan, how are you today?
I'm doing a little better. It's nice the sun finally came out. It's been like a week, but it's finally out. But I'm happy about that. But while I'm happy about that, I'm not necessarily looking forward to the upcoming heat wave that's going to be coming our way.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that. Maybe the Yankees and the Mets and a couple other teams might need that heat wave. Of course, they're kind of feeling a little bit of the cold show right now. What they're seeing outside. The Red Sox might be ahead of things, but we'll talk about that later on. But before we get started, folks, as always, make sure to follow us on Hitting for the Cycle down here in the ticker bar below, HFTC ETB on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network, at ETB Network. Make sure to subscribe to Empty the Bench Podcast Network on YouTube. And also to follow Ryan Touhey at R2E97 right there, down here below. And then, of course, you can follow my ex at Ben Kruse 144. Also, make sure to follow us, folks, on Hitting for the Cycle at HFTC ETV. Also on YouTube at youtube.com/ETB Network. If you guys want to listen to us on the go, listen to us on Hitting for the Cycle, where you guys may get your podcasts. And then, as usual, we want to thank our friends over at Playback. Hitting for the Cycle is presented by our friends over there at Playback. Ryan, we're going to be starting to have our baseball bonanza over at Playback down the road in our future episodes. So, folks, it's free, no subscriptions. All you got to just do is sign up and subscribe to us. And as we're really trying to keep on getting our platform and just our viewership up, we greatly appreciate it, and we can't do it without everybody, besides here and of course over at Playback. We can't thank them enough. And unfortunately, what we can't thank for my Red Sox is this. Not what I was essentially expecting to talk about after what was a pretty solid week for the Red Sox. Arguably probably their best week of the season. They had a 6-game winning streak. They did unfortunately fall short, and they broke that on Tuesday against the Mariners. And Ryan, I want to ask you in terms of the overall reaction to this, essentially where you got the reaction to this, but I'll kind of go first as a Red Sox fan. You would think, after playing the Yankees at Fenway Park, Father's Day, beautiful day, pitching was absolutely phenomenal, spectacular, the whole entire weekend. We had an episode when the Red Sox were up 2-0 in the series, and pretty much it kind of concluded overall that last game. Max Free, Brian Bayo was kind of expecting the overall game. We were kind of expecting to see that game, low scoring type of game, and Rafael Devers hits a homer. For an insurance run, and that basically all she wrote. Brian Bayo was absolutely fantastic in that game. Bayo's now really starting to clean some really good outings coming up for the Sox, and the pitching still continues to be an absolute workhorse for this team as of late. But obviously, the sweep, of course, was great. But, all right, I just remember I was having surf and turf with my dad. Hope he had a great Father's Day, by the way, on Father's Day. And I watched the end of the Sox game. I was really, really feeling great. Vibes were high after that series sweep win. And Ron, you know what? As usual, it was a nice Sunday day, but I was just feeling extremely tired, so I went to go take a nap. So I took a nap. It was about, I think, 3:30, 4:30ish. I don't remember exactly what time the trade dropped, but I turned my phone off. So that's typically, I just didn't want to get any type of messages as I was sleeping. So, of course, I opened up my phone, and I'm getting messages left and right, including you, including Dom, including everybody specifically that we're close friends with. And all I just saw was Rafael Devers got traded to the San Francisco Giants. And I'm like, no. This can't be right. the last thing I want to see is to wake up after sweeping the Yankees and having one of the best weeks of the whole entire season, and then to see that happen. And I'm like, what happened? That was not a glitch. That wasn't a fake thing that I just saw. And then it got broken by pass and it got broken by others. So it was real. And yeah, I just it's been a whirlwind of like a 72 hours, honestly, since we're talking. It's still really hard to kind of to really take in terms of the fact is Rafael Devers, arguably our best hitter on this team, is not with this team for the foreseeable future, and that's the last player now, basically, from the 2018 team. Of course, we talked about Devers a lot to start the season, Ryan, in a lot of our episodes. Of course, the drama, the tension, of course, the bad start at the end of the season. And I wasn't saying I wasn't brushing these type of things off, but I just did not expect a mid-season trade to even be into consideration at all. But I guess it was kind of really off the scenes. And Buster Posey said during the press conference that they really were having talks with Greg Breslow for about a month. There was just kind of, hidden talks, I guess. And it just really sucks. It really, really sucks for myself, a guy specifically that I saw one of his last home runs with you, Ryan, in person. I mean, who, as a Red Sox, who would have thought that at the point in time? Just everything specifically that Rafi really showed. I know, of course, people weren't a fan of his behavior at point in time throughout the season, but heck, I hate to be the blame game in here because I've been seeing podcasts, I've been seeing ESPN talk about this way too much. FSG extremely fucked this up, and this is now the third straight time. I have to really blame this more on ownership, honestly, than Rafi. I really do. I know Rafi obviously didn't do himself no favors, but heck, you're right. The timing of it is the worst part of it. Also, you just swept the Yankees. You had one of the best week of the season, and then this is essentially what happens. And even after the game, Devers and his translator said that we just want to keep on playing great ball. And then about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, he's gotten shipped out of town. So I think personally, Craig Breslow just had enough. I really do. I think really he wants to have his own kind of nice group down the road of the kids and to maybe get some new guys. I don't know. But this was the last thing I was seeing happen. I'm really devastated. Of course, when Mookie left and Xander left, now this happening. It's just crazy. Obviously being a fan, of course I got to support the fans first, to support the overall team. That's obviously so why I'm wearing the hat. But I can't support this ownership group anymore. You're telling me specifically that I'm going to go and buy tickets like I used to consistently. I'm going to go specifically because I'm going to support the team. I'm not going to specifically support what this team is running for. You could obviously, there's two things specifically for it, right? So I wish Rafi well. I kind of said the same thing with Mookie and Xander. And now the three core guys, Ryan, from the 2018 team are all playing the same exact division. Who would have thought? But just in the National League. So it's been a tough 72 hours. I've been having to watch them on MLB TV in a Giants uniform. It's like, what the hell is going on? What time am I in? Brad Marchand got a Stanley Cup in a Florida Panthers jersey. It's like, man, it's like I guess the gods is punishing Boston sports fans after a 2-decade run to now essentially have a lot of our main stars from different teams just be in different jerseys for some odd reason. I guess that's kind of our punishment, which okay, that's fair enough. But I want to ask you, of course, he, as a Yankee fan, Ryan, he was the Yankee killer. I saw so many Yankee fans, celebrating. There a lot of you guys were shocked, including you for sure. I was more pissed and shocked, if anything, to see one of my guys go down, for the year, with the team. So it's hard to put into words, man. It really, really is.
Yeah, it came out of left field, literally. I was at work when the news broke, and I thought, like many people, I thought it was a joke. I was saying, who sent this? Who's the source here? And I forget exactly what the initial source was or who the initial source was who first broke the news. But, I was saying there's no way. That doesn't make any sense. And then all of a sudden, the big sources, the big names started coming in. John Heyman, Jeff Passan, Ken Rosenthal, all those guys eventually broke the news, and it was confirmed Rafael Devers had been traded to the Giants. And I was just stunned. I was speechless. I didn't really know exactly what to say or think at that moment. It was just so bizarre because, like you mentioned, the timing of it just was crazy, coming off a sweep of your most hated rivals over the weekend, the Yankees. And this is the time of the year it looks like the Red Sox are desperately trying to turn their season around. This is the best baseball they've played all season, hands down. And, Devers, like you mentioned, his last game as a Red Sox, he had a home run against Max Fried. So, he just adds another home run against the Yankees. So, that, like, there was no thought in my mind during that game or, during that weekend. There was no thought, despite everything that happened with Devers and the Red Sox this season, there was no thought in my mind that was thinking to myself, you know what, he's going to get traded very soon. That never even crossed my mind. And when I saw this happen, I just went, wow, they actually freaking did it. And just to quickly review what the Red Sox got in return in exchange for trading Devers, they got right-handed pitcher Jordan Hicks. They got left-handed pitcher Kyle Harrison. And they got two prospects from the Giants. Outfielder James Tibbs III, who I think was the Giants' fourth-ranked prospect in their system. And they also got right-handed pitcher Jose Bello. I think that's the last guy. So, Hicks and Harrison, they're decent pitchers. Hicks, I think, could be better. I don't think he's ever really fully reached his potential in the big leagues. So I think that's probably the biggest prize that the Red Sox got in return. And, Tibbs and Bell, I really don't know enough. I don't know anything about either of these guys. So, take it with a grain of salt. We'll see how these guys develop. But it was just shocking more than anything else. And I just didn't really understand. And quite frankly, I guess this just goes to show, if this proves anything, it goes to show that I guess Devers was more of a head case for the Red Sox ownership than we initially thought. Like you mentioned, I know you support Devers more than the ownership group, and rightfully so. This ownership group has made some very poor choices over the past 7 to 8 years.
If you let me, I wish I could just rant the whole entire episode if I wanted to about how much of a joke this ownership is. I'm pretty sure that they're looking at Liverpool and the Penguins more than this godforsaken team.
Well, I know you went on a little rant or soliloquy, a 15-minute soliloquy on your Instagram page. So for anybody who wants to get detail of Ben's reaction, go check that out on Instagram. He'll fill you more in that. But yeah, it was just wild. And obviously, as a Yankee fan, I'm not shedding a tear that Devers is gone. The guy tortured me ever since he came on board on the scene in 2017. Really, it all began with that home run against Aroldis Chapman at Yankee Stadium all those years ago. And he never slowed down. He just got better and better every year. Obviously, won the World Championship with the Red Sox in 2018, his sophomore season. And, he was kind of overshadowed a little bit by guys like Betts and Bogarts because those guys were, there in Boston longer than he was. And, those guys at the time, Bogey looked like it. Obviously, I don't think he's going to now, but those guys looked like they were on Hall of Fame trajectories. Betts still on a Hall of Fame trajectory. I don't think Bogey is anymore. But
Bogey's decline has got to be studied, unfortunately. You're seeing Padre fans, they're tired of him.
Yeah, he did have a big hit though against the Dodgers last night, but still,
I'm still pulling for him. I want him to do well.
Yeah, but he's been a disappointment though, regardless. But Devers, he just continued to blossom, and he just emerged as the new Red Sox superstar once the Red Sox made those other crazy trades, trading Mookie and letting Bogarts go. Devers became the face of the franchise, obviously. And, one of the ways you become the face of the franchise is when you excel in pressure situations and you excel against your hated rivals. And Devers, boy, did he ever excel against the Yankees. It seems like every game the Yankees and Red Sox played each other, especially when Garrett Cole was pitching, he hit a home run. And he just killed the Yankees. I mean, in terms of, past Red Sox who have just been a thorn in the Yankees side, I mean, he's up there with David Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, Pedro Martinez. He's one of the biggest Yankee killers to ever wear a Red Sox jersey. So, it's definitely relieving knowing that I don't have to see that guy in a Red Sox jersey anymore.
Must be weird, though. It must because, for, the rivalry and stuff, now it's when the Red Sox play the Yankees, they're probably expecting, I'm expecting to see Mookie on that team and Xander on that team and Benintendi on that team and Rafi on that team, at least one of them. And it's it's a brand – now it's a brand new team. There's nobody from 2018 team anymore. And it's 2025. It was only 7 years ago. It feels like it literally it just happened, but it's been a while. Rafi's been with the organization now for 10, 15 plus years, right? And he was on a 2-year of a 10, 11-year extension. Now he's out of town. That's essentially that's just kind of an overall lesson, Ryan, that you never ever know. When it comes to the business side of sports, it could just be so cruel. Heck, I obviously don't want to wish Aaron Judge something per se, but heck, it's a caliber of Aaron Judge or a caliber of Freddie Freeman or Ohtani. You don't know, right? Heck, our ownership is arguably the worst and probably one of the worst run organizations in baseball when it comes to obviously making trades. They're so quick to making assumptions. And Ryan, the Craig Breslow and Sam Kennedy presser after the Devers thing happened, it was insane in terms of the comments, the boos, the tomatoes throwing, and one of the biggest things why they moved him was because of alignment. I heard that. If you told me the word alignment right now, Ryan, I'd probably be getting plastered drunk. I heard that so many times during that presser, I wanted to vomit. I'm like, enough's enough. Just say specifically that you did not want him anymore. Just say it. Instead, you had to say, well, the alignment. That's part of the reason why we couldn't. No, just say you didn't want him anymore. It's simple. Because if he was still wanted to be here, he wanted to be here. And now specifically, you're hearing him in San Francisco. They're asking me, how is your time ending in Boston? He's basically saying, I don't want to talk about it anymore. It makes sense because you just shipped him out of town. You treat him like crap. It's simple.
Yeah, it was just a battle of egos. Breslow, obviously, he's got a massive ego. But you know what? Rafael Devers also has a massive ego. But you know what? Devers kind of had a right to have an ego because he, grew into the face of the franchise. And he became the biggest name, that the Red Sox had in their lineup on a daily basis. And he was the last remaining piece from that 2018 team, probably the greatest team in Red Sox history. So, and it's just crazy, too, because, Devers, like you mentioned, signed that humongous contract 2 years ago, $313.5 million over 10 years. And he makes it a season and a half, or 2.5 seasons, I should say, because he signed that before 2023. And he makes it 2.5 seasons. And, as a result, the Giants are now going to be taking on the entire remaining money of that contract. And, that is obviously going to free up a lot of money for the Red Sox, obviously. So, you're getting all that money back. You better spend it. You better spend it wisely. So that's the least they can do for their fans. But, we'll see how this shapes up. It doesn't look too promising right now, but in a couple of years down the road, if the Red Sox just continue to go down this path, this is just going to go down as one of the dumbest trades in Boston sports history. It'll go up there with the Mookie Betts trade in terms of infamy. And it's just it's just been a bizarre season for the Boston Red Sox, to say the least.
It's so fitting too with this godforsaken team that they want to essentially torture us, at least in some way, after having a full week of happiness. The season specific has been so up and down. It's all right, it's kind of expected. Then a whole entire week, you beat the Yankees at your own place for two out of three. Then you beat the Rays 2 out of 3. Then you swept the Yankees. The vibes couldn't be any more high. It was electric at Fenway. I mean, I could see through the TV screen. And then, of course, the FSG said, you motherfuckers thought that we could enjoy a full entire week of great Red Sox baseball? No, we're going to ship your best player out of town. How about that? And then, of course, crazy run. Just absolutely crazy. I mean, I can go on and on about this, the remainder of this episode, but we just also have so much other stuff to talk about. But Rafi, I just want to say, man, I love you. I wish you well. San Francisco, those jerseys are nice as fuck. I cannot lie. I mean, it's just extremely weird to now see it on him. I mean, I was watching them play against the Guardians last night. I think he went 0-for-3. He had a double in his debut. I'm going to have to now make a trip to San Francisco, Ryan. That's kind of my excuse, I guess, now. I mean, San Francisco is apparently one of the nicest parks in baseball. So now I have to make a trip.
Well, your boys are making the trip this weekend to face Devers.
I know. Makes it even more of a incentive if I wasn't working to go make that trip.
Watch Devers hit one into McCovey Cove.
I hope he does. I hope that Rafeal Devers has the best weekend of the whole entire weekend. I can care less if the Red Sox get swept, to be honest, because I want him to shove it to our front office. What a joke. Hitting for the Cycle is presented by Playback. Watching sports is more fun with others, but we spend too much of our time watching alone. Playback is a virtual space where communities can stream live sports together with everyone perfectly synced up. Creators can hop on stage, deliver their own play-by-play analysis and commentary, and invite viewers up for Q&A. Playback makes watching sports fully interactive and a social experience, from playing fantasy sports, repping your favorite players and teams, and watching with the commentators and communities you care about. Win or lose, sports are best enjoyed together. Join our community by going to playback.tv/CGB Network to find out more, including our live stream schedule. And now back to the show. Now, I want to say these two teams are a joke, per se, because I do think they're good teams, but they're playing like a joke, Ryan, right now. I obviously want to kind of let you take that right now, though.
Yeah, sure. All right. So I guess let's just pull the rabbit out of the hat here. Let's just go with the Yankees. Obviously, me being a Yankee fan. The Yankees have gone into their annual June swoon. It's the same story every year. The Yankees get off to a pretty good start. They, stay atop the American League East for the most part throughout the first 2.5 months of the year. Then once the summer comes around and the calendar changes from May to June, the team just completely goes into a tailspin. And this is their annual tailspin that, we were hoping as Yankee fans that they would avoid, but it was inevitable at the end of the day, really. So the Yankees right now, on this day, on the day of this recording, it's June 19th, day of this recording. Currently, the Yankees are still in first place in the American League East. They are 42-31, but their division lead has shrunk dramatically. They are barely leading the Tampa Bay Rays, who have caught fire. The Rays are 41-33. But the big reason for this is because of how poorly the Yankees have played over the past week. The Yankees right now are on a 6-game losing streak. Obviously, like Ben mentioned, they just got swept by the Red Sox at Fenway Park, and they currently have lost 3 of 4 against the Los Angeles Angels at Yankee Stadium. So the Yankees are in danger of being swept 4 straight at home at the hands of the Angels. And it's not just the fact that they are losing, it's how they're losing. Their offense has completely vanished. And really it's vanished for about a week now, dating back to the final game of their series sweep of Kansas City last week. But they only won the final game by a score of 1-0. And, their offense really hasn't done much since. They lost the first game against the Red Sox last weekend by a score of 2-1. Then they lost 4-2, I think, or 5-2 in Game 2. And then they lost 2-0 in Game 3 for the finale. And then when they got back to Yankee Stadium, they lost 1-0 in 11 innings in the first game against the Angels. And then they lost the second game against the Angels 4-0. and then they lost last night, Wednesday, by a score of 3-2. And a lot of it is because of this offense. The pitching has been fine. The pitching hasn't been the problem at all. It's been pretty solid for the most part. The hitting has just been absolutely dreadful. And Aaron Judge has gone into his first slump of the season. His average has plummeted. I mean, it was ridiculously high. It was going to be almost impossible. It was going to be impossible for him to maintain a 400 average throughout the course of a major league season, even though I kind of naively thought that he could hit 400. But I got to remember how long a baseball season is sometimes. But Judge has just been dreadful. And he's in one of those. And when Aaron Judge is in a slump, it's weird. Aaron Judge, he's a phenomenal ball player. But boy, when he enters a slump, he really enters a slump. He can barely make contact. And we saw it last weekend when Garrett Crochet punched him out 3 times. And that's what Judge has been doing. He's been striking out 3 times a game, seemingly every single night. And, I mean, if I'm looking at Aaron Judge's numbers right now, and, he in his last 7 games, I mean, Judge is hitting under 100. It's just crazy. I mean, I'm looking at
as they say, as usually it's typically kind of as a team goes, a player goes. It's kind of with the Yankees right now because you looked at what happened last year. You had Juan Soto kind of as like, oh, if Judge isn't going well, you're probably thinking, okay, Soto's going well. This is now kind of back to reverting of the 2023 Yankees, in which it's basically it relies on Aaron Judge. And if Aaron Judge is going great, basically everybody follows. But heck, and the way that the offense is slumping right now, if Judge obviously isn't to his potential, the way he's kind of going with his overall streak, it's crazy. But, like, the thing is right now, Ryan, it's like everybody's in the slump, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, in his last 7 games, Judge, right, is 2 for his last 24 with 15 strikeouts. And, and he's not and like you said, it's not all on him. You can't just point the finger at Aaron Judge. I mean, obviously he's their best player. It's not obviously you can point, you can say he's got to step up, obviously, and he does. He's the captain and he's their best player, and the Yankees need to, Judge has to stop striking out. The strikeouts are ridiculous. And, he kind of looks like the way he does in the postseason, honestly. He just flails, and he kind of, it's so weird. There are times where Judge, when he's locked in, it's almost impossible to get him out. And it's almost impossible that he, misses pitches. But now he's just missing, sliders and changeups right down the heart of the plate. And his timing's off now. So,
what was he against Kyle Hendricks this week? Didn't he, not have a hit against Kyle Hendricks, who throws 85?
Last night against, or 2 nights ago against Hendricks, yeah, he struck out 3 times. Struck out 3 times against Kyle Hendricks.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's bad. Like I said, he's been racking up the hat trick games, 3 strikeout games quite frequently. But like I said, it's not all on Judge. Everybody, the entire lineup has just gotten frozen solid. I mean, Austin Wells has been slumping. I mean, Wells has had some really bad looking at bats recently. Goldschmidt is in a big slump. His average has plummeted down to 300 or around there. I don't know it off the top of my head.
With Goldie, you were kind of expecting him to have a little bit of decline, but he's really going.
No, Goldie's been really bad for a couple of weeks now. It seems like it was going to be hard for him to. I mean, he was hitting in the 350 to 360, which is very hard to do in baseball nowadays. But he's fallen off. And like I mentioned, the Yankees were shut out 3 consecutive days from Sunday to Tuesday. So Sunday was, I believe, Sunday. I just got to quickly look at my calendar. From June 15th to June 17th, the Yankees were shut out. And through the first game of last night's game, they didn't score a run. So they were shut out for 30 consecutive innings. And it was finally broken up in Wednesday night's game by Jazz Chisholm, who had a bomb into the second deck to finally end that scoreless drought. I mean, that was ridiculous. I mean, the Angels are nothing special. I mean, it's absolutely absurd how poorly the Yankees have been hitting. Mm-hmm. And like I said, Jazz hit a home run last night. Cody Bellinger hit a home run last night, and the Yankees actually had a lead for the first time in 50 innings, dating back to last week. when they had that 1-0 victory over the Royals, and that lasted all of about 5 to 10 minutes because the first pitch Ryan Yarbrough threw in the next half inning was put in the seats, and just like that, I knew the Yankees were in trouble. And the Yankees are going back into their bad habits. There are no fundamentals with this team. There are none. The Yankees. It's amazing to watch just how poorly they hit and how much they struggle, or how much they have been struggling with men on base, especially with men on second base with less than 2 outs or with nobody out. If the Yankees, get a guy on second base with nobody out, logically, you're trying to get that runner over to third base. And the way to do that is you either bunt, sacrifice him over, which the Yankees, of course, cannot do. They're incapable of bunting, or you hit a ground ball or a fly ball to the right side of the field. And the Yankees just cannot, for the life of them, figure out how to do that. And, it's just been amazing. The Yankees, like I said, lost the second game against the Angels in 11 innings, and they couldn't scratch one measly little run across the plate. Their at-bats have been putrid. They are just flailing. It looks like everybody's trying to hit a home run. I mean, it's terrible. And, I mean, the kids, too. I mean, I brought up Austin Wells. I mean, he's not alone in this. Jason Dominguez has been terrible recently, and a lot of finger pointing has been going to Anthony Volpe. I kind of want to take a trip down memory lane very briefly here. I want to take you guys back to a previous episode of Hitting for the Cycle. Of course, I got to quickly look this up over here. I
have a clip too that I wanted to show you after. So it was kind of good time.
Yes. So hold on a sec here.
You want me to show you my clip really quick?
Actually, I just found it. Hold on a sec.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So I want to quickly just share a clip back from the first week of the baseball season. So this is from episode number 65 of Hitting for the Cycle, and I touch on Volpe.
Made an error. Volpe and Jazz, for the most part, I think are solid defenders, but they're still prone to making errors here and there, and it seems like they make them at the worst possible time. I mean, Volpe obviously made it in the World Series. He had the second error of that fifth inning in the World Series last year, right after Judge. Granted, that was kind of a tougher play than Judge's, but still, like in big games like that, you can't make an error. It's going to come back and cost you. There was another game in Baltimore at the last summer in July, the last game before the All-Star break, where Volpe dropped an easy routine ground ball that would have ended the game, and that prolonged the inning for Cedric Mullins, who hit that fly ball over the head of Verdugo, who tripped over his shoelaces. So it's just stuff like that where you have to play fundamentally sound defense. And Volpe, like I said, I think Volpe's a good shortstop, but he needs to really clean up some of these errors here. I think he still makes a little too many. I think he makes just too many errors, and they come at the worst time. And if you continue to do that, it's going to come back and cost you. So I really want the Yankees to just clean up the slop.
Last night's game against the Angels in the eighth inning, the Angels loaded the bases. Yankees brought in Tim Hill with 1 out, and the game was tied at 2. And I forget who it was at the plate for the Angels. Joe Adell. He had a routine ground ball to Volpe. Like I said, like I said in that video, big moment in the game. Ground ball right to Volpe. Committed an error. He let the ball eat him up, rolled up his body. He tried to recover, throw it to second, threw it away from Peraza.
Holy shit.
Volpe's defense has gotten worse since that since that episode came out, and it's really hurting the Yankees. Volpe does such a poor job of reading ground balls. He doesn't know which way to go, and he doesn't know which way to turn his glove. I mean, he said in this post-game interview yesterday that he's got to be more aggressive and he's got to go after the ball. And you know what? He's right. He does need to go after the ball more. He's letting the ball come to him too often. And also, he's turning his glove the wrong way. If you're going after the ball you have to turn your glove like this, pop like out, and then and if you're going to back up like he did last night, you have to turn your glove forward, upwards, and let it come to you.
Yep.
And he turns it the wrong way. He backs up and he puts his glove out forward. So if you do that, if you're backing up, the ball's eventually going to just roll up your arm, and that's what happens with Volpe too many times. I mean, and Volpe, his defense it's killing the Yankees. Yep. It's really freaking bad. And another big moment in the game. You know, the Yankees are about to get out of this bases loaded jam. Tim Hill did exactly what you wanted him to do, get a routine tailor-made double play, and Volpe just botches it again. I mean, he needs to clean up the defense. It's really bad. I'm not going to spend this whole episode bashing Volpe because that's not fair. You know, like this is a team. Baseball's a team sport. You can't pinpoint everything on one guy unless, like, I guess it's a pitcher and he just has absolutely nothing. And, you know, it's his job to close out whatever game it is or finish whatever game it is. But still, I mean, Volpe the defense is bad. It's very, very bad. You know, and that Gold Glove award he won 2 years ago just looks more and more of a joke with each passing error. He just makes way too many errors. And like I said, I'm not going to spend the whole time bashing him because that's not fair. But in addition to that, he struck out 3 more times. And you know, he made the last out last night against Kenley Jansen. As soon as he came up to the plate, because he was the last hope for the Yankees, I just went, this is going to be a disaster because I know for a fact that error is in his mind, and the Yankees had a runner on first base, and they're down by 1. So I know for a fact he's going to try and redeem himself by hitting a walk-off 2-run home run, and he, you know what? He struck out on a pitch right down the middle, swinging because he was trying to hit a home run. That's his mentality. I got to redeem myself. I got to put one in the season and then this losing streak. And he only ended the game. So, you know, the Yankees are their own worst enemy. They are a very poorly sound. They're a very poor fundamentally sounded team. Another thing that I just want to quickly touch on before I end it with the Yankees is Trent Grisham had a miserable at bat. I'm starting to get tired.
I actually have it right here, Ryan. It's the best time that you had. All right, so what Ryan is talking about, folks, is the Yankees had first and second with nobody out. Aaron Boone, who, by the way, said some comments after the game. Typically, Ryan, when it's first and second, no outs, what's the first thing in mind that should happen? Bunt, right? Okay, so it's 2-1 count, right? You still have another strike in your hands to have a chance to bunt it, right? Well, Aaron Boone decided to take the bunt sign off, and this is what happened.
Bunt is off. He popped it up. So they take the bunt off, and O'Hoppe makes the play.
So Grisham obviously is going through a slump, and Aaron Boone just says, okay, we're going to take the bunt sign off. For a team that is struggling to get runs out of any point of the overall season, you want to make that make sense. If I was a Yankees fan out there right now, and of course the Red Sox drive me nuts specifically, so of course I know essentially this overall feeling, but you would feel more than ever if you're Aaron Boone to try to see if you can find a way to scrap runs instead of trying to have your runs as homers. It's the small ball. Sometimes it's the best part of the game. At least try to attempt the next one to have a bunt. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But just that timing makes absolutely no sense. And you could say, if he put the ball in play, it was a single or whatever. Okay, we're not talking about. Yeah, okay. Well, the Yankees were shut out the last 2 to 3 games throughout the week. Probably you maybe want to try to change things up a little bit and have a little bit of small ball, maybe some common sense, Aaron Boone. Something that Aaron Boone doesn't have, Ryan. I'm sorry to say it's the truth. He does not have common sense and then defends it after the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest Boone fan. I call him Aaron Buffoon because I do find him to be a buffoon. Ever since he became the Yankees manager, I've had a hard time taking him seriously. He just looks like, your best friend is the Yankees manager, honestly.
It's a puppet. That's what it is.
It's wild. I mean, like you said, Grisham only had 1 strike. At least try to bunt one more time. If you fail the second time, then swing away. All right? I could live with that, even if he didn't come through. But the fact that there was 1 strike, and that's what he did. And Grisham really needs to. And Grisham's been awful for like.
Why is he still in the leadoff hole? By the way,
that's what I was saying. I don't want get him out of the leadoff hole, please. Move him down, bat him ninth, bat him eighth, and play him like every 3 days instead of every day or every other day. All right.
Well, Ryan, you do have your wish today, though. I did see your lineup today, and leading off today is going to be Goldschmidt. You have Goldschmidt, Bellinger, Judge, and Stanton is going to be your top 4 today against the lefty.
Yeah. And also just one last thing that's really been pissing me off with the Yankees recently. They are constantly swinging at the first freaking pitch every time, especially with guys on base. Grisham pops up, and immediately after that, Judge comes to the plate. He swings at the first pitch, and he flies out to center field. If only Grisham could have moved the runner, then they would have been
What about the Volpe at bat to end the game the other night? the pitcher was not.
The extra inning game. Yeah, the Angels, the Yankees, I think had the bases loaded. They load the bases in the bottom of the 11th inning. The Angels go to a different pitcher. I forget who it was, but Volpe comes to the plate, swings at the first pitch, ground ball, and the game.
It was after a missed botched play that the Angels also had too. The Angels were essentially trying to gift wrap the Yankees the game that night. I remember that because I think it was 2 times in extra innings. And you told me, Ryan, that the Yankees are one of the worst teams in extra innings specifically. I was watching that game, and I'm like, you're not wrong. Because, oh, my God, the amount of chances. It was a 0-0 game.
Yeah, they're an abysmal extra inning team. And they are – I can see it in their eyes. They're saying, we believe in each other. They're going to say all the generic answers that they typically say whenever they go through a slump. But I see it in their eyes. They are pressing. They are overly anxious. They are very anxious at the plate right now. They are overly aggressive, or they're too conservative. They are overly aggressive because they are swinging at the first pitch of at bats way too many times, and they are way too conservative, and they just are tense, and they're pressing, and they don't know exactly what to look for because they're looking at pitches right down the heart of the plate. The Yankees are like I said, the Yankees are their own worst enemy. And, I was watching the Dodgers game last night too. And you know what? The Dodgers, that's a baseball team. The Yankees right now do not look like they have any business playing against tough teams right now. They look like a 500 team at best. And that's my 2 cents on the Yankees. I don't want to go into too much detail about this.
Let's do the Mets now.
We got to talk about the Mets. We got to give some love to the Mets. The Mets haven't really been much better, honestly, than the Yankees recently. They're on a 5-game losing streak, and they are coming off a sweep of the Tampa Bay Rays at Citi Field, where they've dominated this entire season prior to that. And, the Mets, their offense has also been slumping. They've been shut out twice during this 5-game losing streak. And their base running has been pretty bad, too, recently. Juan Soto made 2 big base running plays. Base running blunders in the Mets loss on a Tuesday night. And that was a really crushing loss for the Mets on Tuesday, June 17th, because they had a 4-0 lead, they had a 4-1 lead, and the Braves tied it in the bottom of the 8th inning, and the Braves walked it off in the bottom of the 10th inning. And, the Mets, it's been their first slump of the season too. They dominated all season long prior to that. But, their hitting has gone silent too. So, the Mets, it's been hard times for them recently. And, they definitely need to clean it up. They're struggling at the plate right now. Soto has caught fire in recent weeks. He's been hitting more home runs. He's starting to look like Juan Soto a little bit, but still, they're not really getting much contributions from the rest of the lineup. It's been pretty bad. I think one guy who's been struggling a lot recently has been I think Alonso's been struggling. I just want to quickly double check. Yeah, well, Alonso hasn't been. He was kind of due for a little regression after a torrid start. He was on a rampant pitch to start the season, but yeah, his numbers recently haven't been great. They don't have Vientos, and I think Vientos is a guy I think that would kind of help him in the lineup, despite him obviously kind of struggling. But a guy specifically that's actually done well for them has been Jeff McNeil. Jeff McNeil has been really good. This was kind of a guy people want to kind of out of town. If you know Frank Fleming, he called him Jeff feeble. He was sick and tired of him. People were sick and tired of Jeff. But Lindor has really struggled also. He
in the Dodgers series, if you don't remember, Ryan, he got hurt. I think it was swinging out like it was a foul ball off. I think we had a foul ball off of him, and so he has not been the same guy since. So yeah, I mean, of course the Yankees are going through the rut right now, but it just figures how the Mets, of course, are kind of following the rut because both teams were two of the best teams in baseball for the first couple months, and it's wild how both of their times are struggling are both at the same time right now. So, of course, the Mets right now, they're playing against some pretty decent teams, to be fair, but I mean, the Braves right now were one of the worst teams kind of coming in, but they somehow still own the Mets in Atlanta. Thanks to enough with Chris Sale, my old friend, another old friend of mine. I feel like old friends will be a common theme throughout the overall program, Ryan. Jaron Duran might be next, by the way. Chris Sale almost had a complete game shutout yesterday against the Mets. And I just want to give my overall props to Chris because I still love Chris. So that's essentially how the Mets are right now. They had a 4-1 lead, bottom of the eighth. I don't know what happened to Alvarez. He decided to call a different pitch. It bit him in the ass. Reed Garrett gave up the tie. I think it was the go-ahead to Ozuna. And then Acuna Jr. Can we give some props to Ronald Acuna, Ryan, in terms of him just coming back and just being kind of back? Because we were talking about Ronald Acuna being like, all right, if he comes back from injury, who knows if we'll have him to see the same guy. He has not missed a beat at all. So,
yeah, it's been something to watch Acuna just pick up where he left off. So much for 2 torn ACLs, and he's doesn't bother him. But yeah, the Mets are definitely going through the motions right now. It has not been pretty for them, and the Mets. Like I said, 5-game losing streak, 5-5 in their last 10, and their division lead is down to just 1 game behind. I mean, they've been in a dogfight with the Phillies for most of this season for first place. But their division lead has shrunk. So both New York teams, just going through their struggles right now. I mean, no season is ever smooth sailing. Every team is going to go through their rough patch. But it's to the extent of your rough patch that really raises eyebrows, and it kind of exposes who you truly are, or what exposes what you're capable or incapable of doing when it comes to crunch time or during the big games. So we'll see when or if these two teams will wake up relatively soon. I mean, it's not looking pretty for either team right now, that's for sure. But I do want to touch on one positive piece of news quickly for the Yankees. John Carlson is back. At the beginning of the year, if you all remember, he was dealing with this bizarre injury that they were classifying as tennis elbows. It was it sounded very concerning, and we didn't even know if he was going to play at all this year or if he was ever going to play again. Maybe it may have been a thought that crossed our minds if he might even be able to play ever again if he has an injury like that. But to his credit, he came back, and you know what? He's actually looked pretty good. He had 2 hits in his return game. And I think he had 2 hits in the second game. So far, so good for Big G. And, I mean, the Yankees could definitely use some pop from him because right now nobody is capable of hitting a home run right now in this lineup. So it's good to see Giancarlo back. It's definitely a jolt for the team. I was hoping that having him back would, get the Yankees back on track after the Fenway series. But that has not been the case. So,
I mean, as great as Stanton is, if you want to bank on Giancarlo Stanton to be the complete savior of the offense right now, it's probably not the best sign. No offense to Stanton, but obviously the guy specifically is still trying to get himself back on track. But we also have some stuff here. Whoops, I don't know what happened here. Ryan, you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, I don't know what happened there.
I'm very small.
Okay. Well, I'll try to figure that out here, Ryan. But you're still here, so that's all that matters. Let's get into the Tampa Bay Rays. So the Tampa Bay Rays, if you want to kind of get more into detail with that.
Yeah, sure. So this story broke yesterday evening. So the Rays right now are on fire. They pulled off an amazing comeback against the Orioles last night when they came back from an 8-0 deficit to win 12-8. And the Rays, like I mentioned, also swept the Mets at Citi Field this past weekend. So they are just riding high again. We had them finishing last place, and so far that has not looked like the case. Hi, I'm back. So anyway, but this is a different story. I just wanted to give some love or respect to the Rays, even though I can't stand them. Acknowledgments. But this story involving the Rays. The Rays are currently in advanced talks right now with a Florida developer. I'm just looking for a news piece that I can just quickly read this off of right here. So I'm going to read this from the Herald Tribune, or the Sarasota Herald Tribune. This is from Dan Rorabaugh. So the Rays are in talks to sell the team, led by a Jacksonville developer for $1.7 billion. The guy's name is Pat Zalupski. It looks like, if that's how you pronounce it.
That sounds right, yeah.
And he is the founder and CEO of Dream Finders Homes. And he signed a letter of intent to purchase the Rays from Stu Sternberg. And the Rays released a statement, according to a report by FanDuel Sports commentator Ryan Bass, who's the Rays clubhouse commentator. They commenced exclusive discussions with the group led by Patrick Zalupski, Bill Cosgrove, Ken Babby, and prominent Tampa Bay investors concerning a possible sale of the team. And they said neither the team nor the group have any further comment. So, the Rays have always been in talks with sales. So, we'll see how this goes. But, I think the Rays need to be sold in order to stay in Tampa or St. Petersburg or in that area. I think that's inevitable. They need new owners. This ownership group, Sternberg, I'll give the guys credit for being able to develop these no-name players, and the fact that the Rays are consistently a thorn in the sides of the big boys like us and you guys in the AL East every year. But they just don't spend money, and they are spending all their money on repairing the roof at Tropicana Field. But Tropicana Field, we can tell, doesn't really have much longer of a shelf life. So
it didn't.
Yes. So the Rays. This is, I think they need, if I'm a Rays fan, I'm hoping that this gets done. I don't know what Zalupski has up his sleeve. I don't know if he intends to build a new stadium somewhere in or around Tampa or St. Petersburg. But regardless, I think it's promising. So we'll see how this happens. But yeah, with the Rays, their future is always a question mark. You never know what's going to happen with them. And, they're thriving right now playing at Steinbrenner Field during this oppressive heat in Florida during the summer. That stadium they've made that stadium their home, and they're having a very good year so far. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. You pretty much hit the nail on the head for pretty much most of that. I will say, so Sternberg bought the Rays in 2004 for $200 million. I don't know did you say that at all or no?
No, I did not.
Yeah, so that is what I'm seeing here from ESPN. The team acknowledged the discussions and statement saying the Tampa Bay Rays announced the team has recently commenced exclusive discussions with a group led by Patrick Zalupski, Bill Cosgrove, Ken Babby, and prominent Tampa Bay investors concerning a possible sale of the team. Neither the Rays nor the group will have further comments during the discussion. And then a year ago, Sternberg had a deal in place to build a new stadium. We were just talking about new stadiums in the historic gas plant district, a reimagined recreational, retail, and residential district in St. Petersburg to replace the Trop. It's actually funny enough because my dad has a buddy that lives by Tampa, and he was obviously kind of talking about the overall, where to put possibly the new stadium, what side of the bay. And there was obviously a big discussion about it, and I don't know if that's going to happen anymore. But yeah, this is obviously just kind of latest year, and there's obviously unfortunately with the hurricane stuff and everything kind of like that, there's still just kind of a lot more to the story. So we're just going to have to kind of update you guys as much as we can with that. So obviously, as usual, we still have a little bit of time. We got to still do our who's hot and who is not, the players and the team. So I will start with the who's hot as usual. So Ryan, Players. Well, actually, I'm going to go with team. And you know what, Ryan? I don't want to be a homer here, but the Red Sox are my Who's Hot team of the week. I gotta say, I don't know how many times I will, but they had one of the best weeks of their whole entire season. They're 39 and 37, so they got themselves into a wild card spot after being 5 games out and without Alex Bregman and Rafael Devers getting traded. They're 8-2 in their last 10, which is the best last 10 in the division. And now, after what potentially could have been all loss but hope for having a chance to be in the division, with the way that the Yankees have been playing for a good week now, they're 4.5 games out of the division, which is absolutely just, if you told me that a couple weeks ago, I would have called you crazy. So yeah, the Red Sox, their pitching has been one of the biggest reasons why they're getting consistency, game after game right now. They've now won the last 4 series in a row. After just being in Seattle, which is a very good pitching staff. So yeah, I'm going with the Red Sox. I hate to be a homer here, but I just don't know how many times I'm going to be able to have my team specifically as my team of the week. So that's my team of the week.
All right. My Who's Hot team of the week, I just mentioned them, the Tampa Bay Rays. They have been scorching hot recently. Like I said, sweeping the Mets last weekend, and I think they took 2 out of 3 against the Orioles this week. And like I said, they came back from a freaking 8-0 deficit last night and won 12-8. I mean, I don't know if that goes to show just how good of the caliber the Rays are, or of how poorly a team the Orioles are. I think that's a mix of both bags. I mean, the Orioles are just so god awful. I mean, it's remarkable.
They play you guys this weekend, Ryan. So we'll see how that goes. Can that jumpstart you guys?
I don't know. I really don't know. We've had a hard time with the Orioles over the past couple of seasons. It hasn't been fun to play them, regardless of how good or bad they are. But yeah, the Rays, they are starting to click, and they are 8 games above 500 right now, and they don't look like they intend on slowing down anytime soon. So, I'm dreading the thought of the Rays possibly playing October baseball at Steinbrenner Field this year. I hope that doesn't happen, but as a Yankee fan, obviously. But the Rays are the Rays. They just find a way to stay competitive year in and year out. And yeah, as much as I don't like them, I got to give them props. So the Rays are my team who's hot this week.
Okay, my who's not team of the week, Ryan, the Washington Nationals. They are 0-10. 0-10 in their last 10 games.
They've lost 11? I think it's 11, yeah.
I mean, this was a team that we were kind of expecting that they were going to make some strides. They have a lot of potential. They were a really tough division. But, Ryan, they're going so down bad right now. So they have lost. They lost 2-3 to a Texas team that wasn't playing great at home. They did get swept by the Mets, but then, Ryan, they got swept by the Marlins and the Rockies, 2 of the worst teams in the National League. And they essentially made the Rockies look like a competent baseball hitting ball club. They were hitting homers game after game. I just don't know what to make out of the Nationals at all. I mean, that's pretty embarrassing to have. So they're my who's not. They've been playing awful baseball.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of choices for who's not. Honestly, I touched a lot on the Yankees, rightfully so, but they're not alone in teams who have extended losing streaks right now. They're only one of a handful. Like you mentioned, the Nationals have lost 11 in a row, so that they were my pick for who's not too. But I'm going to spread the love a little bit for who's not and give co-ownership to that title to the Yankees and the Twins. Both of those teams have lost 6 in a row. The Yankees, I already went into detail. The Twins, so much for that long win streak that they had earlier this year. The Twins have lost 6 in a row, 2-8 in their last 10, 36 and 37. The epitome of mid, if you ask me. This team just can never get out of its own way, no matter what. Even when they had that long winning streak, I didn't really think that was who the Twins are. This is who the Twins are. They're an inconsistent mediocrity that just has a very hard time finding their footing. So the Twins are going to take home the title along with the Yankees this week because the Yankees have had such a poor week as well, getting swept at the hands of the Red Sox, and the fact that they took so long for them to score a run. Both of those teams hold the dubious honor of who's not this week.
All right, who's hot? And you know what, Ryan? I'm going to spread the word to a pitcher and a hitter this week. I'm going to kind of change it up a little bit. My who's hot for a batter, I'm going to go Jeremy Pena. This guy, like, low-key, like, quietly is having, like, a really solid year this year. So right now, Pena is rocking a 321 average. He has a 377 OBP, a 474 slug, and an 850 OPS. His OPS last year was 701. So Pena obviously really has had a really good season so far for the Astros, especially without Yordan Alvarez being on the shelf with the injury right now. So they really had to have some other guys kind of step up. And credit to the Astros with Cam Smith, their rookie, and Jeremy Pena to really kind of come around. So that's my who's hot of the week for a batter. And then for a pitcher, I'm going to go with I would say Crochet, but I mean that's kind of a given. Let's see here. You know what? I'm just gonna go with the batter. That's what I'm gonna go for the week. So yeah, my who is hot is batter. I'm gonna go Pena.
All right, so I have two guys who I want to give who's hot to, and I have one pitcher actually. So I'll do three people this week. So for who is hot, I am going to go number one, Brandon Lau from the Rays. Big reason why the Rays have been on this torrid stretch right now. Lau is hitting almost 500 in his last 7 games. He's hitting 481 in his last 7 games. 13 hits and 27 at-bats, 2 home runs, 5 runs batted in. And he's not striking out. He's only got 3 strikeouts during this stretch.
Yeah, and he strikes out a lot, so that's big for them.
Yes, so he's really taken off, and he's a big reason why the Rays are where they are right now. And another who's hot for me, Andy Baez of the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's hitting almost 400 in his last 7 games, and he's hitting almost 350 in his last 15. That includes 4 home runs in his last 15 games with 12 runs batted in. And for pitching, for who is hot, Ranger Suarez of the Philadelphia Phillies. He's produced back-to-back quality starts of 7 innings against the Blue Jays and Marlins, respectively. He's pitched 7 innings, gave up no earned runs against the Blue Jays on June 13th with 6 strikeouts. And in his recent outing against the Marlins, he went 7 innings, gave up just 1 earned run, and struck out 8. So those guys are who's hot for me this week.
My who is not is JJ Bleday from the A's. This guy, like, low-key had a pretty good year for them last year, rocking a 243 average, but he's now down to 198 with a 667 OPS with just 8 homers. So that's my who's not, is JJ Bleday.
All right. Who's not? I mean, I can go in a lot of different directions with this. I'm really trying to – I don't have one off the top of my – I do have one off the top of my head. I guess, you know what? Screw it. Aaron Judge is not hot. He's hitting under 100 in his last 7 games. He's striking out too much. He's ice cold, but the Yankees as a team are ice cold right now on offense. So that's just the guy who's off the top of my head. I could go in a lot of guys are struggling right now. It's not just Judge, but because I'm a Yankee fan and because I know that, he's who's not for me, unfortunately, this week.
All right, well, that will conclude today's episode on Hitting for the Cycle. As usual, make sure to follow us on all of our socials, including this ticker right down below. We will see you guys next week, as usual, for another episode of Hitting for the Cycle. So we'll see you guys then.